the service. Oh, can you believe it? Absolutely. It's a golazo. A crafty finish there from Rios. 2-1 in San Jose lead. Salinas. Golazo from Shea Salinas. Going to distance. San Jose's going to win this game 4-3. The San Jose Earthquakes have produced the most sensational comeback of this MLS's back tournament. Oh, how I missed you, Major League Soccer.
Maya, oh, Franky Maya with a bolt from the blue, the teenage Tyro, and has landed a potentially knockout blow square on the jaw of Atlanta.
How about a little Group E action to start off your day? Atlanta United taking on FC Cincinnati. There's Frank DeBoer. Both Pitti and Barco in the starting lineup for this one. Kalen started off in the 26th minute, though. Jake Mulroney gets his second yellow, so it didn't take long for Atlanta to put themselves in a bad position here, Kalen.
Yeah, credit to Joe Zhao for being one of the, I guess, the most energy on the pitch for large stretches. It turns them around, and then an early red card really shook things up for Atlanta United. But then, this was the call where you thought they got the penalty kick. It was initially called at it. They go back to video review and notice that just by a hair, P.D. Martinez's foot was just offside. You'll see it here. It's not by much at all, but ultimately I think the right call was made here. But this was Atlanta's probably one of their best chances in the match. Didn't create a whole lot. Cincinnati was sitting back in a low block from the beginning of the game, continued throughout with a red card even, and but Atlanta United was just frustrated that they just couldn't find a way to create.
Yeah, so this one was scoreless heading into the second half. In the 60th minute, Kubo unleashes, but Brad Guzan coming up big here for Atlanta.
Yeah, great save here to get low and protects that near post. And Brad Guzan, he's the one steady constant behind them. It gets beaten here, and a credit to Franky Amaya. I believe first professional goal, right?
Yes, Franky Amaya. He was the number one draft pick back in 2019, and this was just a really, really nice strike.
Yeah, just finds a little soft spot in behind Lorenowitz, is able to get a quick little turn, and then just kind of guides it left-footed. He doesn't use too much power, gets a nice little lift to it, but the placement is just right and just beyond the fingertips of Brad Guzan.
Just missed it there. Well, who would have thunk it? Cincinnati collecting all 3 points in this game against Atlanta. Here's a look at your Group E standings. Columbus and the Red Bulls and Cincinnati all with 3 points. Atlanta, though, 0 points after 2 games. They are in a really, really tough spot here, Kalen.
Yeah, and this was the shocker.
I mean, if you had told me that this is how it was going to shake out, at this point, I wouldn't have believed you. Atlanta down in the bottom with 0 points after 2 games. Kalen, during the broadcast, John Champion said that this result was the most surprising so far of the tournament, and I have to agree with him because I certainly did not foresee this result at all. Atlanta, what went wrong? What is wrong with Atlanta right now?
Well, Susanna, one thing we are quickly learning with this MLS's back tournament is expect the unexpected. You never know what's going to happen. That always holds true for a tournament, but especially in the case where the lights just get switched on. And I think the red card really took this game. I think I remember texting you right after it happened that this is going to take a game that is already slow and sluggish in the morning and really kind of take the life out of it entirely. And I think it really changed the game for Atlanta. Jeff Lorenowitz mentioned it in the presser, talking about them having to take off Adam Yan. And then they really had trouble creating from there. Cincinnati was content to continue to sit back through the 30th minute, the 40th, 50th, 60th, and wait for their chance. They end up getting it, and it worked. But other than that, Atlanta United, it has looked pedestrian. I think they've said in the last 220 minutes they haven't scored a goal. And it's hard not to notice the absence of Joseph Martinez right now.
Yeah. There is nobody that sort of brings that fire at this point. And I thought that was a really interesting question that was posed to Jeff Lorenowitz. Like, is it a problem? Is there a lack of intensity there? And, Jeff Lorenowitz was kind of quick to quell that. But We used to talk about Atlanta United as being one of the most fun teams to watch play, and it's just been a bit lackluster. Kaylin, what did you make of the lineup that Frank DeBoer put out there today? There was a notable absence in George Bello, who wasn't even dressed. He did not make the 23 for this team. What did you? Was this a lineup issue?
Well, that choice didn't make a lot of sense to me, especially considering he wasn't even included in the 18. And I thought he looked really good in moments, especially going forward. And yes, maybe he was, it's hard to know what happens within a team, why a coach's decision, the player doesn't dress, but he's 18 years old. You would expect going into this match that you're going to see the lion's share of the ball against a Cincinnati team that is going to, as they did, sit back and allow the outside backs like Bello to get involved in the attack. So, yes, I would have started him from the front and given him an opportunity. But when you look at this Atlanta United team, Susanna, it's not the same team as last year, because it's Joseph Martinez, right? That's the most notable of the bunch. But then there's no Nagbe, there's no Gressel, there's no LGP, there's no Parkhurst. So Joseph was going to be the one piece, right, that was going to sort of cover over any cracks in the pavement. And then once he's gone, and then the red card, these problems have just compounded. But I understand the question as far as the personality of the team, because that's one thing where I think Joseph Martinez his play is missed, but I think his personality is as well. That his presence on the field, where he looks across the line, and that sort of fire that he has within the team to avoid losses like this, I couldn't help but notice that part missing as well too.
One of the things that we've talked about in regards to Atlanta is that in the absence of Joseph Martinez, guys like Pitti and Barco are kind of expected now to be that leader, be the guys that can score, that can create for this team. And early on in the season, way back in March, it looked like perhaps that is what was going to happen. They were ready. They had been groomed, after that adjustment period. Are we asking too much of them? Are they just simply not ready to take that role?
I don't think it's fair to think that they're going to create it all on their own. And both of those players, I think, were growing in strength, especially Pitti Martinez. And we saw Barco as well last year have a really nice season. But so much of what they do is underneath and with the ball at their feet. And where what they're missing is any threat in behind. Everything was just playing in front of them and just asking Pitti Martinez and Barco to sort of individually create. And so without Joseph Martinez, it really throws off the equation where you can now place really tight on PT, not allow him any space, whereas you have to back off when you have Joseph Martinez with that threat in behind, and then you have the sort of knockdown balls that are falling to PT and Barco with time and space. So I think his absence is really the biggest thing. And honestly, when he comes back, hopefully whenever that date is, but hopefully sometime soon this season, I think it will cover up a lot of these mistakes. I don't think it is fundamental deep flaws with Atlanta United. I think they're just missing a major, major piece. And when you look at the MLS's back tournament, you've got Seattle. They may not advance. You've got NYCFC, another favorite. They might not advance. And Atlanta United also looking like it's going to be difficult for them. So this isn't a unique story necessarily for Atlanta United. They're the only ones that are facing this.
An uphill battle ahead for a lot of teams that we saw as contenders. So let's flip it. Let's talk about Cincinnati. We heard Tom Bogert pose the question to Franky and Maya. Was this the biggest win in FC Cincinnati's, albeit short, history? Do you think it was, Kaylin? Was this the biggest win for FC Cincinnati?
No, but I think Taylor Twellman did a good job on the broadcast saying that the fact that you're asking the question should probably tell you something about how far down this club has been. But I think to their first match at Nippert Stadium, I believe they won in front of that sellout crowd. That would probably be the highlight for them at this point. But I would say in the very young Jaap Stam era, then, I mean, absolutely, it's the only win. And I think his approach to this was the right one. Taylor was also critical of them for sitting back through much of the first half. Yeah, but I think that was the right approach. It was sensible. It was pragmatic.
Why was it the right approach for? Was it because this is just how Cincinnati
It's because he said, I believe he said in the press conference, we have to be realistic with where we're at as a team.
Wow.
And
okay.
I think he saw it in the first match against Columbus Crew. You go in and you maybe try and play a more positive approach, and you get punched in the mouth and you lose 4-0. So there, the only response and the logical one is to come out and say, all right, we're playing Atlanta United. You've got P.D. Martinez, you've got Barco, you've got all these nice pieces going forward. Why don't we maybe just get behind the ball, protect our back line, and go into a back five? And even still, with the man advantage, they didn't abandon that. And it proved to be the right decision. They find a nice moment through Franky Amaya. Frankly, I think they would have been content even if they didn't. They tried to attack through Joe Zhao through the wings. And for me, just to build a foundation, this is the first block that needs to be laid, is to how to create, Jaap Stam's mentality as a player. And I think we're seeing early signs of it as a manager in MLS. So I thought it was the right decision, a sensible one, and a solid building block for them moving forward.
Yeah, so this was, as you mentioned, a game of firsts for Cincinnati. This is the first win under Jaap Stam. Franky Amaya gets his first career goal. And right now we're going to take a look at what FC Cincinnati did defensively. Can you kind of help break this down for us, Kaylin? Well,
you'll tell right away. This is with a man advantage.
Hunker down
in the 80th minute. and look, this is late on, and they're of course holding on to the lead and just staying behind the ball. But could have been the 26th minute. This could have been the first minute. This could have been the 35th minute. This is what it's going to look like right now. And you also have to remember they're playing without their talisman striker, Jurgen Locadia, who is out. And if you put him into this with a strong back line behind him, he is a player that, alongside maybe Joe Zhao and Franky Amaya, can start to put together something a little bit more cohesive. And Atlanta United couldn't figure it out. They didn't find the ball. They didn't have the tempo to move the ball quickly or break between the lines or try and catch Cincinnati in any moments where they were left out. Cincinnati didn't leave themselves many openings, but still, it came down to looking for individual plays, and when P.D. Martinez is on, as we saw him in that first match against Red Bull, although they didn't get the result, he was on fire that day and was able to really cause problems. Today, early morning kickoff, just not the same, and without that, Atlanta United really didn't have any answers.
Well, let's take a look at Franky Amaya's goal once again, because as you said, Caitlin, it just, all they needed was one chance. Franky Amaya saw it, he launched it, it paid off. Just a really nice strike for his first
Amaya's
MLS
going to be
goal.
He's a good young player for them and a prospect. And I think people coming into the draft thought he was going to be just a pure number 10 and making plays like this. It is uncommon, we should say, for domestic number 10s to be successful in our league. I think Brendan Aronson might be the only one that I can think of as far as young domestic number 10s that are playing that position. And Franky Amaya, frankly, has not been playing there. He has mainly dropped off into deeper lying midfield positions and shown some defensive abilities that not many people knew about. Now we're seeing, yes, he still has the offensive qualities to turn and find a moment in a match. So I think this will do a lot for his confidence, and something that if you are Jaap Stam and you're looking for young players to build around for the future, you've got a pretty good one right there.
Absolutely. Wow. This feels weird. This is not the conversation I thought we were going to be having this morning. This is just so crazy. You guys, this tournament is just
It's only, if you're sticking with us, we haven't gone over last night's match, so it's only going to get weirder.
Oh, God. Okay. Holy moly. Before we get to that wild one, that San Jose Vancouver match, let's take a look at the upcoming schedule for Group E. A big one tonight. We've got the Columbus taking on the Red Bulls, and these are two teams that looked so good in both of their first matches of the tournament, Kaylin. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what happens here.
Yeah, this will decide the top of the group, and then Atlanta is in a bit of trouble because they have their maybe their most difficult match saved for last against Columbus Crew. Cincinnati will carry that forward. Red Bull will now have some good film as far as what they can expect to see. I don't think they will see the Cincinnati team that came out and played a little bit more open against Columbus. It will be exactly following this formula, so we'll see how that sort of low block defense and that high press match up. We've got a couple good ones left, but tonight is the big one.
Sure
Columbus
do.
versus New York.
Woo! Okay. Let's do it. Let's have some fun. Let's show those highlights from last night. This was San Jose taking on Vancouver. Kaylin, I had a hunch. I just had a hunch that this one was going to be crazy. Oh, this was actually a really touching moment ahead of the game. Brian Meredith, goalkeeper for Vancouver, his mother passed away unexpectedly, so he had to leave Orlando, so they honored him early on. But in the 9th minute, Krapau, already getting busy, had to make this save for Vancouver. And here we go. Here we go. What is going on? What just happened? It's I don't even. This was one of these own goals where I was like, just oh no. But look what happens at the corner. San Jose. There's just no one back there. Not a defender in sight.
Well, one came back. Credit for him for tracking back, but unlucky there. And other than that, it was Vega. One of the strangest plays and the strangest games you'll probably ever see.
This goal, however, was really, really nice. Oh, I wanted to take another look at that one. Darn it. That little
we'll get a chance.
back heel from Rios. And then this one. Oh, Daniel Vega, what are you doing? You cannot
Square
make
ball
those mistakes.
Across the face of the goal.
Oh.
Not the best.
Oh, okay.
And then Wando.
Hold on.
You know, if things are getting weird, this is the guy you want to call on.
As soon as Wando scored, I was like, San Jose is going to win this game.
Yeah.
And then
how does one club always? How does this always happen with one club? It's amazing.
I don't.
And here's Shea
know.
Salinas.
Deep into extra time.
Amazing.
Shea Salinas doing his best Lionel Messi impression, and there it is. There it is. The game winner. They're losing their minds.
Just hold down R2, Suze. You'll find your way to goal.
San Jose
I think this goes through a Meg.
At one point. You can't make this up. You literally cannot make this stuff up. It was so wild. And Kaylin, the stats for this game, I mean, it's just 22 corners. I believe that is an MLS record for San Jose. 22 corners.
It is.
San Jose had 30 shots on goal. 37 crosses. What? I mean, it's just, I can't even. I watched this game last night and literally was just, my mouth was open. I was laughing, and not like because I just couldn't believe what I was watching. It was that ridiculous.
Yeah, I saw the reaction kind of all around social media, and people were enjoying this one. It was a fun match to watch, I guess, as a neutral spectator. I'm not sure a lot to be necessarily proud of as a takeaway. It was kind of like one long not top 10 on SportsCenter.
I think that is absolutely fair, because this certainly was not the prettiest soccer as we. Well, no, but it was, Kaylin, darn if it wasn't entertaining as heck. I mean. Yeah.
I gotta say, like, when I was watching it and I was looking at it and I'm still at a loss for words, just to keep it real. But I'm not, I really mean it. Like, when I watched them celebrating like that and dogpiling, there was just a part of me, and maybe I'm old school, but there was just a part of me that was like, some of these goals that you've conceded and the mistakes that you've made, especially on the part of San Jose, I was just like, and maybe it's this level, but Rob, I'm not going to go against Rob because he loved it all, but I was just like, as from a player's perspective, if I'm on that team, I'm like, guys, like, credit to them, and look, the most you could say is they took away 3 points, and they now have 4 points from 2 matches, which is great. But a part of me was also just kind of pained by people celebrating, looking at like they had won a trophy when they had played the way that they played. So I don't know.
Grumpy.
I think
old
I'm not sure if that's
card.
something. Maybe it's something I need to work on my own sort of time. But there was just a part of me where I was like, it just didn't feel right. But
where's your sense of adventure? Come on, just embrace the fun, will you? Live a little, Kaylin.
Oh, man.
All right, let's
come on,
let's hear.
They're staying in the Swan Hotel, and they had an insane match at midnight on a Wednesday night. Let's party. Let's go for it. I'll turn it around.
Let's go. All right, let's get some post-game reaction from this one. Here's Shea Salinas and Marc Dos Santos.
this was like 2012, a Goonie moment for sure.
Yeah,
It
was crazy. What a team effort tonight. We never quit. It was incredible. I'm thankful to God for this team, for the ability to play, for my family, and for my teammates. It was an awesome night, something we'll remember for a long time.
Que rescato mucho la paciencia de nuestros jugadores,
That's why I take away the patience that our players had,
la confianza en insistir con lo planeado,
the confidence in what we've planned.
y cuando uno en la vida insiste con aquello que planea y que practica,
And in life, when one insists with what he plans and practice,
seguramente tendrás tu regalo.
surely you will have your gift.
There's a lot of positives that we're going to take from this game. We're going to analyze the mistakes and see what we could have done better and the goals. But again, when you come out of 130 days without playing, with so many guys not being here with the team, and you play against a team that's fully equipped, it's the first team that arrived there in Orlando, and they had already a game in their belt, and you play toe-to-toe with them, face-to-face. You didn't back off. You created, you scored. Unfortunately, you give too many goals away. I could only be proud of the group that is here and the guys that worked here.
And here's a look at the standings for Group B. With this is anything could happen. I'm looking at this and I'm literally saying anything could happen as it stands right now. It's San Jose with 4 points, Chicago 3, Seattle 1, Vancouver no points after they've only played one game. However, that is something to keep in mind. But Caitlin, you had talked to Marc Dos Santos earlier this week, and he talked about all the guys that they were missing. Basically, didn't even have enough to bring the entire full 18 to the game, and yet they still could have won this game. And at one point, they were up 3-1, and they were scoring goals without their big goal scorers. So, as hard as it probably was for them to stomach giving up that lead and losing points, I don't feel like they can be so down on themselves at this point, considering where they're coming from.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, the expectations were almost non-existent for this group, but when you look at the statistics that we put up there before with 22 corners, and I believe the possession statistics were in shots, I think 30-7. So they were fully outplayed through the run of play. But in the moments that mattered and in capitalizing on mistakes, they did a very good job. Now, where I think he alluded to giving young players a chance and kind of bleeding some guys into the tournament. Now, I think their inexperience showed as far as their inability to close out late. Their two center backs in particular are young players, I think 22 and 21 years old, have experience playing in Tunisia and I believe Serbian leagues, but about 5 matches between them in MLS at this point. So there'll be some learning done there. But yeah, I was surprised listening to the comments. I mean, both coaches kind of came away from this match feeling pretty positive, I would say. And I go back to it, and Almeida especially said, when you plan and you practice, you get your reward. Well, and he also mentioned trying and the ability, he backed his guys to make mistakes. Now, I understand that on the sense of the Vega goal, where if you want, we've seen this with New York City in the past, we've seen this with other teams. If you're going to be a team that wants to play out of the back, and San Jose wants to do that, you're going to have mistakes like that. I personally don't feel great about our goalkeeper playing a square ball across the face of our own goal, but he's willing to take that, and I can respect that. But on the counterattack on the goal or on the one that ended up being the own goal, to me that looks like something that is just negligence. Like there really was no excuse for that, and maybe they'll address that behind closed doors. But to me, they had everybody but the goalkeeper. It looked like they might as well send Vega up in the 90th minute. They were down a man or trying to equalize late, and they play a 1-2 on the top of the box. I mean, I just will never understand that. So I think there's still some work to be done there. But yeah, like I said, I'm just still trying to wrap my head around what happened.
I feel like we might need to take that conversation offline, because you're clearly you've got feelings about it. I thought this was really
4
interesting.
points from 2 matches for San Jose. So I mean,
okay, and
they are
Nico
in a good spot.
Yeah, and Nico, this is something that I think is worth noting about Almeida, because as sloppy as it was and as ugly as the soccer was at some points, they showed a lot of character. They showed a lot of grit and resilience. And Nico Cantor, speaking about Almeida, he said he felt his composure when they were down 2-0. He felt more urgency when they were down 3-1. The team reacted to his intensity, and that he used his subs perfectly, and that he managed this game as well as could have been done under the circumstances. And I think that there is truth to this, Kaylin.
Okay, tell me why.
Because I think when you're you're down so early on, and I think that there is a lot to be said about a coach that, especially when you have that option to use 5 subs, the way he utilized those, the way that there's still a belief in this team, even when they're down, that they can come back, and his enthusiasm, and it's palpable. And when you watch him on the sidelines, he's one of these coaches that is so engaged, and he wears his emotions just on his sleeve. He's very Jurgen Klopp-esque in that regard, in terms of his emotions. And I think that he is a coach that these guys, they feed off of. So they're feeding off of his energy. He believed that his team could come back and win this. And therefore, the guys believed that they could come back and win. And I'm telling you, as soon as Wando came and scored that goal, I was like, here we go, San Jose.
You can never question the character or the passion of this group. And a lot of it, I think, existed from older generations of San Jose Quakes teams led by Wando and Shea Salinas and some of these guys, but it's also transmitted from the head coach. He gives them that energy, and so while I might question the tactics at some points or the risks involved in the way that they play, you can never question the fact that this team is never going to give up. And so, yes, if I'm going to be generous, and I think you made a great point, it's absolutely right that this team is surely never going to give up and takes on the character of their coach. So.
Everyone, I just want to point it out that Kaylin Carr just said something nice about San Jose. So
I
there
love them from the
go.
Bay Area.
It won't happen often. You've been kind of shelling out some hate for San Jose, and I'm here to call you out on it. All right, let us get to let's take a look real quick again at those standings from Group B. And as we said, this just feels wide open. And I'm
Seattle would have been hoping for a draw. They needed a draw last night. That would have helped them a lot. And instead, San Jose's late winner may prove costly for them. They're going to need all 3 points from that last match against Vancouver, and hope for a little bit of help as well.
Just a tad bit of help. Okay, well, apparently Frank DeBoer was just speaking after this Atlanta match against Cincinnati, and had some choice words about the 9 a.m. games. And I'm guessing, got a producer in my ear saying it's not good. And I believe earlier in the week, Frank DeBoer said that he hadn't played a 9 a.m. game since he was 7 years old. But so here's the tweet. This is from Pablo Maurer. He says, "It's not worth it to play in these kind of conditions. We have to really think about whether it's good to play at these certain times, especially if you want to entertain people." So, okay, Frank DeBoer, not a fan of the early morning games, Kaylin. Is there validity to what he's saying?
Sure. I just think he's got a point, but everybody has to play in the same conditions, and it's not that. I don't think MLS chose the 9 a.m. kickoff because they were thinking of the sort of overall entertainment value or the way that was going to be conducive to the quality of play. It's hot. It's crazy hot in Orlando, and if we want to have a tournament, we all have to make concessions. So I understand the frustration as a manager, and the challenges of playing an early morning match in that heat and humidity cannot be understated. So I can definitely relate to that. But I think, his team didn't get it done today, and Cincinnati used those conditions maybe to their advantage. But going down a man changed everything for them. It was going to be you're already in a tough situation, and then that happens. I said it to you. It took the life out of the game. Completely, 100%. And I have a little bit of an issue when they start pointing fingers and start playing the blame game. When like you said, everyone is literally playing in these same conditions. So I don't think that's a real fair argument to make. Having said that, guys, we've got more soccer on tap tonight. Will it live up to the madness? We will find out. But we start things off. Oh, this is going to be spicy. We have the Canadian Classique Montreal Impact taking on Toronto FC. That game is at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can watch on TheDNA and Twitter. And then our nightcap. This is the one that Kaylin's been waiting for. We've got the Columbus Crew taking on New York Red Bulls. That game is at 10:30 p.m. Eastern on FS1 and 2DNA as well. This is the one I have circled. I think we're going to see some quality soccer. Very much looking forward to this one. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Remember, you can join us again tomorrow. We're going to be right back here at 11 a.m. You can watch on MLSsoccer.com, Facebook, and Twitter. Have a fabulous Thursday, everybody. And, enjoy the soccer. We'll see you soon.